Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. You know, I'm sure you've all heard the term, put your money where your mouth is, right? It's a great classic saying now, isn't it? And it applies in all kinds of different situations, but of course, there's always levels to this kind of thing. And while speaking of these levels, I think we might have just been exposed to the highest of level in regards to putting your money where your mouth is. I'm sure you guys have heard all the talks of big bets being put on Donald Trump. I think just the other day, kick streamer Aiden Ross dropped $1 million on Donald Trump winning the election, and of course the internet went wild with that one. But this next bet puts that $1 million bet by Aiden Ross to shame. Apparently, we're now learning of a French investor and trader who's done all the data analysis, and he's so confident that Donald Trump wins this thing that he's decided to drop not just $1 million, but rather 40. You heard that right, $40 million on Donald Trump right ahead of election day. And the reasoning, well, not exactly surprising, I'd say quite reinforcing. It seems as though there might be some big money behind some of the concepts that we've been hyper-fixated on and hyper-focused on for years. TLDR, the polls might be fake. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so before I play the clip, I just want to say that I'm recording this video before the polls close. There's some early indicating signs that are suggesting that things are going relatively well, but of course, we'll have to see whether or not this video releases or whether or not it's accurate. Based on what we know tomorrow, I guess, again, we'll have to see. But anyways, I find it interesting. Just take a look at this.
A few days ago, a mysterious trader called French Trump Whale made headlines internationally for allegedly tampering with predictive betting markets to give Donald Trump an edge in the polls. I tracked down the mysterious French trader to ask him why he bet $40 million of his own money on a Trump victory, and to ask him whether this is an ideological play or if he's just keen on making money.
I'm not supporting Trump. I'm just observing that Trump has a 90% chance of winning this election and a 65% chance of winning the popular vote. That's why I bet on both. The polls are really different from the odds in the predictive markets. It calculates something totally different. One is calculating what are the intentions of the people to vote. The other are bets made by real people with real money about who they believe the winner will be. My name is Theo. I'm a French trader and investor. In August, I started to realize that media outlets are making the same mistakes they made in 2016 and 2020, underestimating the Trump vote. Why? Because again, it's underestimating the shy Trump vote effect. I deep dive into the polls and I realized that most of the polls are definitely skewed to the advantage of Harris. I also read a lot about what we call the neighbor vote effect.
Can you show us the math that explains how you saw this skew in the polls?
New York Times yesterday published 3-4 the surveys in some states, in the swing states, and one was very astonishing because it was a clear outlier on Real Clear Politics. It's in North Carolina, which is a very solid Republican state, and this showed that Harris is ahead 2% in that state. I'm going to show you what I found out and how skewed this poll is. Here you have the crosstabs of a survey that was released by New York Times, Siena, for North Carolina, with likely electorates. They basically sampled 1,010 number of respondents, 1,010. In 2020, we can see that 441 voted for Biden and 349 voted for Trump. Let's calculate the percentage based on the respondents. 431 divided by 1,010, you have 42.6%. 349 divided by 1,010 is 34.5%. So first, what we can see is that the percentage here that they display is wrong. It's fake. They display 42 and 40%.
Sure, so that's a very big difference.
Why they did that? It's because for people who are looking at these numbers, they don't compute like I did. I'm probably the only one who computed it. because people are seeing 32 and 40% and they say, oh, you know what, it's quite fair. They polled for only 2% more Biden voters, 22 voters. Now let's compare with what happened in 2020. What did the people really actually vote in 2020 in North Carolina? 49.9 people voted for Trump and 48.6. So basically 1.3% of people voted more for Trump. And if you compare with who they polled in this survey, you have here a difference of 8%. So basically, they're off by 9.3%. They're non-representative. By 9.3%, it's a huge skew to the advantage of Harris.
You know, it's kind of funny how the guy said, I don't think anyone's doing this. I think I'm probably the first person to make this calculation. While I give the man salute for doing basic math, I'd just like to put it out on the record. I'd like to clarify that he is not the first person to do this calculation, and that actually, we've been talking about this for a very long time. In fact, in my election prediction video just yesterday, we spoke about the oversampling of Democrats in a lot of these polls, and I even played a clip.
Over and over again. There isn't even statistical variation. You know, 95% confidence level means that 5% of the time you're going to get a crappy poll. We hardly ever see that. It's like they're telling us we're watching a basketball game where every play is a jump ball. Somebody's missing something. What I think they're missing is a massive shift in voter registration underneath all of this. 31 states have voter registration by party. 30 of them in the past 4 years have seen movement toward Republicans. Miami-Dade County is now voting more Republican. Iowa was +1 Republican. It's now +10. And yet we're getting these surveys that I think are off base. Somewhere, somebody is missing something. I think I'm not going to call it a wave, but I think there's a wavelet out there of Republican enthusiasm and registration. If I register to vote Republican, whether I'm switching or new, what am I going to do?
This has been an ongoing issue for a long time, especially with these New York Times polls. I know the left loves to sing the praise of New York Times Siena, but the reality is they're awful, and so are so many others. We've seen exactly what's been happening. Look at the electorate. Look at voter registration. Registration trends in every single swing state have been trending more and more red, more Republican. We've also got one of the best pollsters in the world, Gallup, that's been showing historically high Republican voter affiliation. They do a survey where they ask people what party they identify with. I think it's called party self-identification, and for the first time, from my knowledge at least, and definitely in the last couple of decades, Republicans in many of these surveys have outnumbered Democrats, meaning with thousands of people surveyed, there's now more people identifying as Republican, or the numbers tend to be pretty close where it's essentially tied. The electorate is becoming more red, and it's shocking considering Democrats pretty much dominate the most populous states, so despite the fact that they've got millions upon millions more Democrats in New York and California, and yet despite this, it's still pretty much neck and neck. We've known this, and a lot of the good pollsters have accounted for that. Their sample sizes these days tend to be a lot closer than what you might have seen pre-2016, let's say. But for some odd reason, some of these pollsters, I call them push pollsters, have yet to adapt, probably purposely so, and they continue to release these polls with huge Democrat oversampling. And not just nationally, but sometimes in swing states as well. North Carolina is a red state for all intents and purposes, and when it comes to party affiliation, it's pretty evenly split down the line, but in that New York Times Siena poll, they oversampled Democrats by over 8 points? That's absurd. It's completely absurd. And you know, we saw the same thing with the recent Ann Seltzer poll, where Kamala Harris is supposedly up +3. But the electorate, which obviously makes no sense considering the electorate in Iowa, in the last couple of election cycles, has gone from R+1 to R+10. And I showed you guys the data to back that up in a previous video. No wonder people are betting their life savings on Donald Trump winning here. I think the calculation is that these are fake polls, they're suppression polls, push polls, whatever you want to call them, and it's likely that they're missing the result. Or two things I think can be true. It's likely that they're misrepresenting the result, and also missing the secret or the shy Trump voter. I think a lot of people have locked in on that, they've focused on that, and so obviously that's where the money's headed. Now it's probably time for me to stop talking, because again, the election's happening as I speak. People are voting, it's not even close to the polls closing. So anyways, that's pretty much it. A $40 million bet placed on Trump from a French investor who seems to be seeing the same things that we're seeing. Just an interesting little video. That's what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.